start first with the Bills at Broncos. Now, I've been on the Broncos' ass all year. I don't like them. I think they're frauds, but
I'm gonna hate her.
they're a pretty damn good fraud, right? They're the number one seed in the AFC. So I've been hating on them. It feels like they just kind of took the Chiefs' spot in the hate world. It's just like a baton passing of hate. Um, I think that the week off will do them bad. So I'm going to take the Bills on this one. Josh Allen is Superman. He's got a great wife. He's got a baby now. He's just got it going. I think this might be his year to make it to the Super Bowl. I'm going to take the Bills because I think their offense they're just going to score enough points. And I know I've said that against the Broncos before, and they've just annihilated on defense. I do have some worries about the Bills' defense, but I just don't think the Broncos' offense is all that good. I think they're middle of the league. So I just like the Bills to whoever has the ball last. I like the Bills to make the drive to win the game. And what we saw in the wild card last weekend, whoever had the ball last, sometimes it worked out, other times it didn't. It's like whoever had the ball last within a minute, then if you gave the other team less than that, they were kind of screwed. And that's what it kind of went. So I think whoever has the ball last will win. I'm going to take the Bills. I'm going to take 28-24 Bills.
Yeah, that's actually surprising. I thought you were going to go Broncos on this one, so I was like, all right, we'll have something different maybe. No, yeah, I'm I don't I have respect for Denver. I have respect for Sean Payton as a coach. They're number one seed for a reason. I mean, they ever since they lost to us week 2. They've been a terror, and they have just they've been down massively. They've been in tight games, and they've seems like they've won them all. Um, so they're there for a reason. But I do agree with you. I think that the one seed bye is kind of going to be a curse in a way. We've seen it, in the CFP outside of the Hoosiers. The bye week has been a curse for everyone. Um, so you got to make sure that you're a hell of a motivator if you're going to get that bye week to get your players ready. But I do agree. I think it's going to be kind of a lullish game early, probably the first half and into maybe the third quarter a little bit. I think maybe Buffalo has a touchdown or a 10-point lead going into the fourth, and um, Denver finds a way to kind of get it close again, maybe tie it, maybe take a field goal lead or something. But I do agree with you. I think Josh Allen is going to make that play, whether it's throwing it or with his legs, and they showed last week, him and Brandon Cooks have something going on together. I mean, Brandon Cooks made a couple big catches, so I think he's starting to gel into that offense right now. So they may not still have a pure one receiver, but the receivers they have are good in that system. And as long as they have, their tight ends are doing good, James Cook's running the ball, if they can just run against that defense, I think that will be the reason that they win. And I think it'll be maybe a little bit lower score, maybe a 23-21 kind of game where it's just blow for blow in the second half. The first half it could be 10-3, 10-7, something like that. And then Denver finds a way to kind of pull it back, reel it back in, and make it close. Buffalo is my Super Bowl pick this year, so I have to pick them to beat Denver. So the elements aren't going to be a thing either because Buffalo has played in some torrential stuff this year, and that's not going to be a problem. That's not going to be an advantage, but I do look for Buffalo to come out and take this one.
Yeah, I just think the experience factor amongst the quarterbacks is going to weigh heavy in this game. Bo
Yeah,
Nix versus Josh Allen. It's just how many times Josh Allen has been in this situation. Like, I just have a
yeah,
lot of faith in him to make
yeah,
enough plays to pull it out. Um,
yeah. And it is kind of a revenge game from last year because Denver got beat in Buffalo in round one last year. So
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. Here on the J and K show, I'm actually going to change my score. There was another score that popped in my head before you said yours, and I think that's the one.
uh
I'm going to say 2017 Bills.
2017.
I think I
Yeah.
went too high. When you were about to say a score, that was the score I popped in my head. So I think that's the one I want now. So I'm going
Yeah, when I go conservative, it makes you kind of like, well, what did I do wrong?
Whoa. So I went even more conservative than you. Just thought,
Yeah, yeah, because usually I'm the pick in the high score blowout games, and then it turns out I'm an idiot.
there's too much defense from Denver. 28 seems too high. So I have to agree
Yeah,
with that.
yeah, and it's not that I don't think Denver can win. I think they absolutely could. They're a damn good team. That defense will take them wherever they want to go, but they could. But I think they're going to be on the field a lot, and they're going to be using a lot of gas in that first half. The offense is just going to be out of sync. I think, and that's that. It's not. We're not. We're not sitting here saying that we can predict the future or anything like that. That's just what I
Well, I
personally
did
think.
go 6-0 last week.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
trying to be a little bit more reasonable so I can catch. I'm one game back.
Yeah. Also, I don't think either team will run the ball in a way that's like impressive. I just think it's going to come down to the quarterbacks the most. I have
Yeah,
some concerns with Buffalo's defense. I could see them stinking it up. I could see
yeah,
that. And
yeah.
this could I'll tell you what, either the Bills are going to win it in a close one or the Broncos are going to walk them. That would be my second choice. If I was told, listen, your first choice, Kevin, it's going to be wrong. What's your second choice? I'd be like 35-17 Broncos.
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah, that would be my
That's
second
gross.
choice
That's gross.
because I do have a fear of Denver's defense and Buffalo's inadequacy on defense, and I'm like that could be a problem. So
Yeah,
I
yeah. But
don't
I,
know
I,
what
I
to
did.
expect.
No, I'm doing the same damn thing. I did. I did like the way the Buffalo made the plays that they needed to in a hostile environment. On the road against probably a good, at least top 8-10 defense that Jacksonville has. So they looked better than I've seen them look in crunch times this season. So I'm not worried about them not being ready. I think they're going to play a little bit better. The defense might tighten up pretty good too.
I'm a big believer of like learning through failure. And I honestly think with the Broncos this year, they didn't really fail. They beat
Hmm.
the Eagles and they beat the Chiefs, and like I look at their scenarios and I'm like, where do I look at their game and go, wow, they really learned from it? And so it's like besides the Chargers and Colts early with
Yeah.
back to back losing games to field goals, there
Hmm.
was never really another moment in the whole season because that was early. There's never really a moment where you're just like, man, the Broncos persevered. It's like, yeah, they came back against the Giants. Well, it's the
Yeah.
Giants, and I'm like,
Yeah.
as impressive as they were, they never had another failure where they really needed to get collected and kind of respond back. In my feeling. So for Buffalo, it's like Buffalo's went through it this year. They've had a lot of up and down
Oh yeah.
roller coasters. I just think that they're more mentally prepared for this moment. Whereas Denver's had some time to think about it. And sometimes when it's like ice in the kicker. It could spell disaster, like you said. The CFP bye weeks are they're 1-7 in CFP, so it's a big deal. It matters in a sport where in college football people always have said, well, the top are just so much better than everyone else, and it's like, but when you give them a week off, they're human. Like, so you got to kind of reel it in a little bit. And I like Buffalo, but we'll see. We will see.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah. Well, and the people that are probably going to be listening or watching are going to be like, well, Denver's adversity has all been in game, and they've done really good about making in-game adjustments and coming back being down multiple scores. So they do have the ability to do so, but you're right, they haven't come off of a bad loss and then had to come back and game plan the next week and then fix the mistakes that were made the week before. It's always been a game by game basis, and they've done really well.
Yeah. I mean, Denver, they haven't had to look in the mirror since September. Like they
Yeah.
don't even know what their hair looks like, or what their shirt they got on today. Like their collar might be all messed up, and they don't even know what they look
Mhm.
like. They might be mangled. They don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe Sean Payton took all the mirrors out of the park. Who knows?
Maybe. Moving on to the next game, which is going to be a division battle for the third time. The 49ers at Seattle. I've gone back and forth on this game, and I like both defenses. Seattle, I like better. I like the receiving cores for both teams. Honestly, 49ers, I like them better than people might think. I think they're very scheme oriented, kind of like a Patriots. They just really fit good.
Yeah.
Um, the George Kittle going down hurts me a little bit, but they do have endless tight ends, kind of like Seattle. There's a lot of similarities here. The one thing I don't like as much is I don't know if I trust Seattle to run the ball. So then I'm like, well, if I'm Stevens on this now, that I'm giving the edge to the 49ers at running back, and I'm giving defense edge to Seattle, then I've got to go to the quarterback and like the coaching. And I'm going to have to take Shanahan and coaching. I
Hmm.
think I'm going to take Purdy over Darnold. So give me the 49ers in an upset. And
Oh.
I just don't know. I think when Darnold gets a little bit rushed, he's more likely to make mistakes. Purdy's mistakes, it's like within rhythm. It's like it just didn't happen kind of plays, where it's Darnold's like kind of just and he just kind of lets one go and it gets out of his hand and goes somewhere bad. I like Purdy and how he's played and since he came back, and I know he had 2 picks last week. I don't know, something 49ers, their perseverance is impressive. I'm going 49ers 27-21.
Ouch. Well, at least you gave me a game to catch up on. Uh, yeah, I do agree with you for the most part on that. You know, going back to the week off and everything, I think when you look at your team, is the week off beneficial for an offense or is it beneficial for a defense? You know what I mean? So an offense, a bye week, if your offense is really the better part of your team, then it's going to hurt a little bit more, I think, offensively than it is defensively. And you could say this, and I could go back and say the same thing about Denver. Their defense is definitely better than their offense is, as far as statistical, rankings, whatever. I just think that they're going to be on the field a lot, and they're going to be tired in the second half, and they're not going to be able to stay caught up. And Josh Allen's going to break a couple runs or stuff like that. But when I look at Seattle, I just I think that defense is so good, and that especially that front four. If you're in the playoffs and you can get home with your front four, maybe in one extra person, that gives you 6 people in coverage. And if San Francisco is going up against 6 people in coverage every time they drop back, it's going to be hard, especially to try to keep that front four pass rush off of him, off of Brock Purdy. So, and Kittle is definitely a vital part of that offense. But with all the games he's missed this year, and Tonjes has stepped up, and Tonjes has actually become like a really good, solid 2 at tight end, and he could probably start on half the other teams, just the way he's been producing. But I just think Seattle's got so much more going for them. I actually think they will probably run the ball better against San Francisco than they have all year. Um, they won't depend so much on Darnold in the offense, but anytime you got Njigba, he's going to be hard to cover. And I just think Seattle's going to do just enough to win. It's going to be one of those butthole type games where it's whoever, the haymaker after haymaker, and then there's going to be a stop after stop. These guys are going to match up with each other so well. And you look at the game that they played week 1 in Seattle, it was a last possession game too. They hit Darnold. I mean, they were about to score. I mean, they were driving, and then they get through. They hit Darnold. I think it was Bosa before he got hurt. Hit Darnold as he was throwing interception or a fumble or something. I think either way it was a turnover, and I think that's been in their heads ever since then. It's like if we get these guys again at home, just somehow, some way, it's going to be a different story. So I think they're going to pull kind of the same game plan that they did in the last game of the season. They just went down to San Francisco and just dominated them. They couldn't do anything on offense. So I think they figured something out. And while I do trust Shanahan to game plan and to adjust, but I just don't think that they'll be able to do enough. I think Seattle pulls it out. This will probably be another mid-20s, like a 24-20, like something like that. Not anything massively scoring or anything like that, but I think it'll be close. So I'm going to say Seattle 24-20.
I feel like you just described a scenario where, the score you were describing was more like a Seattle 28-3 over the 49ers.
No. I mean, they'll
describing it as a blowout in a way.
No, I don't think it'll be a blowout. I mean, you're not going to stop San Francisco from scoring points. They're just that good, But I just think that they'll make the plays when they need to. And I think Brock Purdy will have a couple turnovers. McCaffrey will probably have a score or two. They're going to put points on the board, but I think that it'll be probably like a 24-13 late in the fourth, and San Francisco's just driving to drive, basically, to do what they can to save their season, and then they get a touchdown with like 14, 20 seconds left, and then they have to onside kick it, something like that. So I just don't see it. I just don't see it being relatively close the entire game, but they kind of find a way to make it interesting late. But I don't think it'll be too late at that point.
Really, these first two matchups, they are really very similar as far as how it's set up. I mean, the both number one teams on each side are very defensively stout, and you would say that their offense isn't as good as their defense. So I find it hard to decide, like, my thinking. It's like, how can I have this thinking and pick Bills over Broncos and not also have the same thinking and pick 49ers over Seahawks? I feel like a little bit of your statement is a little inconsistent from your first statement.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the defense travels and things like that, but you didn't want to pick the Broncos over Buffalo. Would you be willing to admit that you might just be picking Buffalo out of Super Bowl pick, and this is actually a bad matchup for Buffalo? Or
no, and like
they gotta play Denver. That's kind of a bad matchup for them.
No, I think that's going to be the difference. Is Denver's defense is going to be on the field a lot, and I don't think Seattle's defense is going to be on the field a lot.
Like, why?
I think they're going to stop them basically in the first half will probably be Seattle dominant. That's the way I see it going. They'll get out ahead of like maybe like a 14 or 17-10 at halftime, something like that, where it's still kind of close, but they're not out of it yet. But Seattle is just multiple 3-and-outs, very like 7 or 8 plays or less, where they're not killing themselves out there.
Why can't Denver do that then? I guess would be my question. Why do we?
I'm not saying they can't.
Why do we see Denver maybe not doing a lot of 3-and-outs, staying off the field? Like, what is the deciding thing in difference between those two?
And I'm not saying that they can't do that in the first half. You know what I mean? Because everybody's going to be fresh in the first half. So, but that's how kind of how games go. Is your defense could be on the field for 45 plays in the first half, which is a lot. And still not give up more than 3 or 10 points. We've seen it a bunch, and I'm not saying, Josh Allen's going to get a touchdown on every single drive. I just think that Denver's going to be, their offense is not going to be clicking in that first half. And it may take them a half to get with it and actually start to get drives together and get their stuff figured out and then get into sync. But, their defense is going to be really, really tired when it comes to the fourth quarter. And then that's when the run game can start to take advantage of their exhaustion. And they'll start missing tackles or letting the receivers or tight ends get behind them, things like that. And that's just when you play so many plays, you do get worn out. And we've seen it how many times with our team here, where the defense will play amazing, but once they get into the late third, early fourth quarter, they can't stay with everything, and they let big play after big play after big play. They start to pile up there, and then you feel your drive kind of like, shit, we're not going to be able to stop them.
I kind of thought that maybe your answer to the question of what makes those situations different is, I thought you were just going to say Josh Allen. That's what I thought you were going to say, because I think maybe the reason you don't feel as good about the 49ers as far as the Bills, as far as one of them is going to upset. First, you got the probability of, like, what are the probability both number ones get beat? You're thinking, well, maybe I should lean towards choosing one and not the other. And then you got the factor of, like, who's at quarterback. The 49ers have Purdy against Seattle, and then Josh Allen versus the Broncos. So I was just thought you were going to say is, like, look, at the end of the day, Josh Allen is good enough to get this difficult thing done, and maybe you just don't have the same amount of faith in the 49ers, since they both have what I would call a pretty tall task.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's they got a hell of a mountain to climb. Both teams do, no matter what, no matter how you look at it. And I'm not going to sit here and be like, this is what is going to happen for sure. Okay, I've been wrong. I'm not so far up my own ass that I'm like, yeah, there's absolutely every chance. There is every chance Denver blows Buffalo out of the water. There's a chance that happens. There's a chance San Francisco goes up and dominates Seattle. There's always going to be that chance. But if you ask me what I personally think and how I see things going, just given the way that things have gone this year and in years past, you've seen it happen before. We've been victims of it numerous times where we've been the number 1 seed or the 2 seed and gotten a bye. And then whoever wins in the wild card round comes up and just smacks our asses. And I don't think that that's going to happen every time, but I just think, in my personal experience, Denver's still a very young team. They're still a very young team. And while San Francisco has been, basically breaking down every barrier that's been put in their way this year, they've overcome so much shit, which you have to give them kudos for. I just think when you're in the divisional round and you're in Seattle, the hardest place to play, in my opinion, then you're gonna be in a little bit more trouble. I don't see a problem, with Buffalo going to Denver and being in the cold weather there, because Buffalo's a cold weather team too. Now, you could say the elevation could be a factor, and it could, but it could be a factor for both teams as well. It just depends on, how long one group of guys is on the field, over the other. And that's what I personally think. Now, Buffalo could wear down too, but I just think that Denver's going to, like I said, there's going to be probably a good amount of 3 and outs or turnovers or this or that can happen that will probably take some of their gas away. And then, what they always do every game, it seems, in that middle of the second half, they kind of find a switch and they turn it back on. But I just think, and you may be right to an extent, Josh Allen might be the difference. I do trust Josh Allen a little bit more than I do Brock Purdy. But I just think the scenarios are going to be just a little bit different. And I just that's why I'm picking the way I am.
Okay. All right, well, we'll move on. So, like the Saturday games are like the David versus Goliath kind of, and then the Sunday games are just like the more pick 'em type games, right? So on
Mm-hmm.
Sunday you got the Texans at the Patriots. I I feel a little indifferent. I think these teams are actually very similar. Um, Great defenses. I don't expect a high scoring game. I really don't. I think it's going to
No.
be sloppy. I think it's going to be hard hitting. I think that both teams will have several three and outs for the game. I I feel like the Pats can run the ball better, and I don't know if CJ Stroud will get it done in a crunch moment situation, and I kind of just think that maybe Drake May will. I don't know. I'm gonna have to probably say Patriots 17-14. That's what. Now you know what 17-13 because I bet Houston can only get one touchdown. So let's go 17-13.
Yeah, that's pretty solid. These guys, yeah, these guys are basically the same team. But I think New England's offense is much better than Houston's, and that's where I would draw the line here. Um, I trust New England's offense to score, and I don't necessarily trust Houston's offense to score very much anyway. Now they could have a couple drives where they get some points here and there, but I didn't leave Monday's game all that impressed with CJ Stroud and the Houston offense. Their defense scored touchdowns, multiple. So if you get 14 points from your defense, more likely you're going to win the game.
No offense
So
to Houston, but totally different kind of offense that they're going to go shut down too, right? Because
yeah,
you got a statuesque 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers, and now you've got this very mobile Drake May. Like you have to go into a QB contain in this game, and you got to be aware of where Drake May is going to try to roll out or scramble away. I just think that change of what to do and how to deal with it, it's like so different for those guys that it's probably going to just give the Patriots a couple point advantage. Like that's how I look at it. I don't think there's much difference in those teams except for maybe Drake May can extend plays. He's very
mm-hmm.
elusive. He's a more than people can give him credit for. He's probably going to have 8 carries for 65 yards in this game. Like it's just the way he does.
Yeah, yeah, you got to account for the quarterback, and if you have 11 on 11, those are not good odds. Um, so yeah, Drake May could make some plays with his legs. Also, New England did give up quite a few sacks in the regular season, but that's mainly because he's scrambling around trying to look for a lane to throw through, or spin out of something, and then he just gets caught right behind
That
the line
comes
of
with it.
scrimmage.
Yes.
That comes with it.
Ooh.
But yeah, Houston, I think, will find a way to keep it close, and that's all they want to do. They don't want New England to get out to a 21-3 kind of lead or start just unloading on them early. Because Houston, I don't think is built really for a comeback. Their offense just is not built for it. Now their offense is built to maybe go blow for blow with you, but if you give them, if as long as you can bottle up, I think Nico and kind of keep the running game at about 2 or 3 yards a carry, then that's a good formula to win. And I just think that's what New England can do. They're going to be plus outside, cold ass weather. Could be snowing in New England this weekend, they say. So I trust New England to be able to perform in those elements more than I do Houston. So, and I'm with you. I don't think it's going to be very high scoring. I think New England puts up about 20-21, and I will give Houston. We'll give Houston 13. So
Okay.
yeah, I think maybe 20-13 touchdown difference.
Okay. I just realized that all of these games are going to be played in bad weather this weekend.
Oh no!
When you said that, and really, I mean, the
Do they got bad weather
Bills.
predicted in Seattle?
Well,
I didn't
it's
look at that one
just
yet.
up north, and it's cold and crappy all the time. I don't know how people bear to live in Seattle, to be honest, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. Buffalo's the only one that really knows how to deal with it on the road this week. I would say that the Niners, Texans, and Rams are going to have a little bit of a disadvantage dealing with the weather. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it could be interesting. I don't think there's a bunch in Seattle, so that's why 49ers upset isn't bad. But yeah, the
Yeah.
Patriots, I mean, I don't think either defense is going to be having a hard time stopping the other team. And honestly, dude, Al Shahir, let's say third quarter, he gets ejected for a hit on Drake May. What do you say? He's that kind
I
of
wouldn't be
guy.
surprised.
He
He is
finds himself in those situations all the time. And then when we rewind it, we go, yeah, that was a dirty ass play. It's going to happen. I
yeah.
mean, one way or another, it's going to be on the sideline probably. And he's going to just level him when he's got both feet out of bounds and he's going to get ejected.
Yeah. Yeah, dude plays hard and he has a high motor.
He doesn't know how to shut it off at all.
He's basically a rebirth of Ryan Clark from back in the day, and Ryan Clark was a dirty bastard when he was on the field. He would just launch himself headfirst into everybody, and then he goes around now saying, "Well, they changed the rules because of me." Yeah, because you're a dirty piece of shit.
He plays a concussion with himself, and it shows.
Yeah, yeah,
It
yeah,
shows every day he talks.
yeah. But
And
that wouldn't surprise me, if Alshire does something like that, and finds a way to get himself taken out of the game, which will hurt Houston big time. Because whether you think he's a dirty guy or not, he is smart. He's smart on the field. Now he does do some dumb shit, but if I was what he's right around 6'1" ish, 240 pounds. That's hard to stop once you get that into like full speed. It is hard to pull back, but at the same
they're
time,
coming.
it's a coming. But we have seen that from him before, so that wouldn't surprise me if that happens. But I think D'Amico Ryans will actually have these guys kind of dialed in a little bit better than that. I don't think we're gonna see anything like that, but it's definitely possible. I wouldn't put it past the guy.
Look at it this way: if Drake May is running for first down and he goes to slide, if Alshire had his target in sight, guess what? He's still gonna hit him.
He's still gonna hit him. Yeah,
I don't give a
yeah,
fuck if he slides or not. He's still gonna hit him. 15-yard
yeah,
penalty, possibly taking May out of the game. Yeah, we'll
yeah,
take our chances. Like he's still
yeah,
gonna hit him. He can't
yeah.
not hit him.
15-yard penalty, and I still play. Drake May gets knocked out of the game, or am I going to get ejected? I think it's worth the risk.
It's worth the risk. I'll see you guys next week.
See you guys next week.
The final game on the Sunday slate will be Rams at Bears. This game was maybe the hardest to pick in a way. 49ers Seahawks was hard for me, but the NFC is obviously it's a little bit more like unsure for me, but
Yeah,
Rams and Bears, dude, the weather. I don't know if the Bears have enough defense to stop the Rams, but the way they came back on the Packers and the tenacity they played with in the fourth quarter, I was like, well, shit, maybe they do. Um, golly, and I've took two road teams to beat the number one seeds. It's like, am I going to take another road team or not? I like Adunze
mm-hmm.
being back. The tight ends are doing good for Chicago. Rams have the better defense. Would you agree? They have the better defense. Bryant Young.
Yeah. I think I mean, you can say that, and I wouldn't be able to really argue with you. But man, the Bears will turn you over in an instant. They are very good about taking the ball away.
I think that the playing at home is out of all these teams, it feels like maybe the Bears are playing with more juice with that home crowd. The
Yeah.
tenacity that Caleb, it seems like Caleb is playing better in front of the crowd as well. Give me the Rams. Give me the Rams. Matt Stafford is the MVP. They have the better defense. I like both teams running attacks. Honestly, these are two of the best tandems in football, to be totally honest. They're both awesome. But the receiving core for the Rams is better, and the defense is better. Give me the Rams. It's going to be an exciting one, though. I'm going to say the weather's going to be crappy, though.
Hmm.
Let's do 23-20 Rams. Nope, 23-17 Rams. Put it in.
I agree. I do like the Rams defense
That's
a
why you
little
were
bit more.
disappointed. You wanted me to go Bears.
I wanted you to go Bears, but I have a game. I can still catch up. I can make it even. I'm good with
Yeah.
that. But and there's a part of me that could pick Chicago, and I would feel okay with it. Um, but I think they're going to come back and be more competitive next year. I think next year will be the Bears' season to come in and make noise all season. Caleb Williams, and I do believe it. Next season, Caleb Williams will be over 4,000 passing yards, and there'll be that guy to solidify himself as the Bears' best quarterback of all time. But
I don't know how
this
certain
year,
I am about that, to be honest, bud.
well, I'm just just
They're
hey, I have the microphone, okay?
my bad. Let me mute myself real quick.
No, 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 no. But I just think Chicago took a massive step this year, and they have solidified themselves as a competitive team. And to come where they were from where they were last year after that Washington game, they just kind of fell off the earth. But you knew that Eberflus was going to be gone, and they were going to be making a coaching change last year, no matter what. So Ben Johnson comes in this year. He gets this team ready to play. He gets them focused. He works on Caleb's techniques and mechanics, gets him to be, a Pro Bowl caliber player. And I think in Chicago, that's what they've been missing for decades is a Pro Bowl level quarterback to make plays when you need him to. And I think that, he's going to continue to progress and build. So they've made their noise this year. They've won a playoff game. They beat a division rival in the playoffs, and they made their noise at home. But I think this year, when you have the MVP of the league coming in, you have a multiple Super Bowl coach, Sean McVay, not to mention the players that they have. Are you really going to be able to stop Puka and Devontae and Kyron Williams and Blake Corum and Higbee? There's so much.
No, he's not playing. Remember, he got hurt. It's that
He did get, yeah, that's right.
Colby Parkinson.
Parkinson. It doesn't matter. Yeah.
Fucking guys. Yeah.
Yeah. Parkinson. He's. I think he's just as good.
Now that Higbee's
So
out, they play like three guys. Like now you can't even.
yeah, and they're all interchangeable, and none of them will go crazy, but they'll have a crucial catch or two.
Yep.
It seems like when you have the MVP dishing out balls, you're going to get found. So I just think Puka, you're going to have to take two guys on him no matter what, and even then he'll still get 8 catches. But I just think that the Rams is going to be too much for them to stop. They may hold them to 20 points or so, but I don't see Chicago scoring more than 20 against the Rams. So I will agree with you. I think it'll be a 27-17. I think the Rams win by 10. Just too much. Too much LA. They're just too good. Like I've said it all year, and I think it's been proven for a majority of the season that the NFC West has been the diamond in the league. So it's only fitting that you have Seattle, San Francisco in the divisional round, and then you have Seattle Rams in the NFC Championship. So I think that's what it will come down to, and I see the Rams beating the Bears 27-17.
You know what's crazy about the NFC is they have one division that was awesome,
Mm-hmm.
and
The rest were meh.
they're all still alive.
They're all still alive.
So
Yeah.
so three of the four teams are from the same freaking division, which means
Yeah.
that two divisions are completely out already. They're already out. And
Yeah.
the
It's
team
insane.
left to deal with that great division is the Chicago Bears. And that just what a mind fuck that is. If you'd have told me to start the year, this is what's going to happen. This division's going to be awesome. They're all going to be left, and the
Yeah.
Bears are the only one that stands between them and one of them making the Super Bowl. I'm going to go, you're funny. You're funny.
Yeah. You're
That is,
hilarious.
you mean the Lions, right? Like that's what I would have said. You
Yeah.
picked the wrong team in that division. The
Yeah.
Bears are playing just confident, like gritty football. Like they're enthusiastic,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to pick them, but something about the bye week of the other teams, their win against the Packers last week, I just think that was a lot. It took a lot out of them.
Yeah.
That fourth quarter miracle. The Rams are just consistently good. And your comment about Caleb Williams, the reason I was trying to cut you off is because you were wrong.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. And the reason I was saying that was because the mentality of the Chicago Bears and how they've got here is not for Caleb Williams to go nuts. I think the mentality of Chicago is to play tough physical football and they try to run the ball, which I think is why they're here. Of course, I believe Caleb Williams will be capable of it. I don't necessarily think that he will do it because the mentality would have to shift a little bit. Like Goff doesn't put a bunch of numbers out there. He'll go nuts with one of his guys like Amon Ra, and they'll be really great, but consistently he'll turn around the next week, he'll barely get 200 yards and a tutty, and they'll run the ball down someone's throat. I think because of that, it's hard to stat stuff. So for Caleb, he'll be capable of it, but I do not think that it will necessarily happen. But you'll see maturation and growth and more capability in moments. It will still be inconsistent because the mentality of football in Chicago is run the dang ball, which I love because that's why they're here. All these teams, cold weather, run the ball, be physical on defense, like they're here because they're the next group of team that can match with these other ones a little. They're just a little new to the game, like that's why they're
Mm-hmm.
here. So in the end, I just think the Rams are going to have a little bit too much talent. But man, I really wouldn't even be that surprised if the Bears pulled out another miracle because the Rams almost lost to Carolina. So I can understand a lot of people saying, fuck it, Chicago's going to win. I get it. But my mind is like, pick the better football team, and I think it's the Rams.
Yeah. It's like, what do your eyes tell you?
Yeah.
And I just think, it's pretty goddamn bold to say that I'm wrong about Caleb Williams when he only missed 4,000 yards by like 60 this year.
Yep.
He came really, really close to hitting it. And I just think
fourth quarter stuff that maybe it won't work out next year, though.
yeah, but well, maybe it happens. Maybe it happens early enough in games where he doesn't have to. I just think year one under Ben Johnson, if he was able to take the giant leap that he took this year, then I can absolutely see him having multiple 300-yard passing games. And having that offense take that next step. And that there are free agents out there who are like, I want to go to Chicago and be a part of that. So I don't think, maybe their offense looks a little bit different next year. Maybe they bring in some guys, maybe they get rid of some guys or something. I think it would behoove them to maybe make Monangai their number one. But I think if you look at it and you can see with past trends that, year two is really the leap year. You have year one, there's some learning curves, there's some mistakes that are made, there's things that go right and go wrong. But then year two comes along in that same system. As long as you have more or less the same kind of guys, I just think they can be a lot better next year than they were this year. And I think that next season if they can build on what they've done this year. And if you take yourself out of it and you just look at it from an outside angle, and if you look at it, say in March or April, look at it and say, God, the Bears had a good fucking year. Who saw them winning, what was it, 12 games? 13 games? 13-4. It's like, wow. Number 2 seed in the NFC, you won a playoff game against the Packers, and then you lose in the divisional round to what may be the eventual Super Bowl winning team with the MVP. I mean, you look at it, and Bears fans are going to be like any other fans and look at it and be like, God damn it, yeah, and they're going to be pissed. But if they're able to step back and say, we actually had a really good year, this may be the first off season that Bears fans are just they're positive. They're positive about it, and it's like, okay, well then we have expectations going into the next season, because they know who their coach is going to be. They know who their quarterback's going to be. They have most of their people and the coaching staff and their players. I mean, they're all going to be there. Yeah, 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 and maybe they're a draft pick away. You never know. Their first rounder could be somebody who comes in and makes a difference. They could sign a big free agent. You never know. So yeah. So I think I think next year they're going to be fine.
So it's like it kind of sounds like almost like an IU type of path where like they get the right guy and everything molds well. The first year everyone's going to say, "Well, this was a fluke," and then the next year they're even better. I gotta
Yeah.
say, I'm gonna be pretty damn surprised. The Bears were 13-4 and the number 2 seed. For you saying it could be even better. So they're gonna go 14-3 as the number 1 next year. Like I don't see it.
No.
There's going to be a drop off, and that don't mean they can't
No.
win 11 or 12, but
Yeah.
there's gonna be a little bit of a growing pain. I just they're gonna have things that they got to figure out, and I think they'll still be pretty good. Like I said, I don't think they're going to just sling it around. And like I think what we've seen with the Lions is like at some point down the line with Johnson, they seem like they could just fill it up the stat sheet with 50 points and Amon-Ra has 3 touchdowns, and and I don't think the Bears are built that way right now. So, and I don't know that they're going to be built that way next year. I don't see the same exact staffing, but I do see a physical team that'll run the ball. So I just don't think they're going to be there yet. I don't know who they would acquire that would change my opinion. I think they're going to get more pass rushers, and that's not going to change my opinion on the offense.
Yeah, but you're mistaking the fact that I say that they may be a better team next year, that the record's going to get better. That's not necessarily true. You can still be a better team than you were the last season and have a couple fewer wins. So they can go 13-4 this year, be a good team, but then go 11-6 next year and actually be a better team and end up being a wild card team and having to go on the road for a couple of games in the playoffs. But they will be tried and tested.
Well,
Maybe a couple things go wrong.
Which one would you rather have for the Bears? It's like
I would tell you the Bear. I know Bears fans.
Would they rather be the 2 seed and all that, and short of 4,000 passing yards, or Caleb go for 4,800 and they're a 6 seed on the road first round? They're not gonna feel like this year that's as good as the current one like we're on now.
Yeah.
So I just like I look at it in that perspective. Like if Caleb does better next year, then it'll probably be sacrificing wins almost, and which is a little not for what Johnson wants to do. I'm just going to go on a limb and just say that you're wrong.
Yeah, that makes sense. And they could. I mean, they did a good job running the ball this year, and Caleb was, like I said, 60 yards short of 4,000. I'm not going to sit here and say he's going to get close to 5. Hell no. I'm saying 41, maybe 42 at tops. But that whole thing of, the Bears have never had a 4,000-yard passer. They got damn close this year. Granted, there's one more game, but I don't want to hear anybody bitch about, there's an extra game. So the fuck what? It's not the players who decide it.
If they're complaining about a 4,000-yard passer, they're focused on the wrong things.
No, and I'm not saying that they are. This is just what I think. Yeah, that's just what I think. And I know Bears fans, the best. the best Bears team is always going to be the current one. And that's how they're always going to be. Next year is always going to be, this is the best Bears team we put on the field in a long time. And they could go 3-15. Who the hell knows? But I just think that Ben Johnson has done so much in the first year. You can only expect them to improve a little bit next season. Now, who knows? Injuries are always going to be a factor. Things will always happen. But I just think if they can stay healthy like they did this year, then they have all possibilities are on the table for them to make a deeper run next year. And I think that the 2026 Bears will probably be more tested than the 2025 Bears because this is still new to them. So they come in next year, even though they are a wild card team, maybe they'll be the 7th seed, but they could still go on the road, and that defense will travel. So that you can do all sorts of different things with that. I'm not saying they're going to be 15-2 or 16-1. I'm not going to sit here and stand on that fucking box by no means. They could have the same amount of wins or maybe a couple less, but I think they will be a more tried and tested team next year who won't have to depend on last-second plays every week.